गजाननं भूतगणातिसेवितं कपित्तजम्बूफलसारभक्षितम् उमासुतं शोकविनाशकारणं नमामि विघ्नेश्वरपादपङ्कजम्। ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरान्तस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मीलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। So we'll have a short discussion about food and how Ayurveda views food, digestion and the nutritional aspects of food in a very short manner. It will not be in a very detailed way, but in a very short way, which will throw many points where the food has been misinterpreted in the modern life and the modern way of understanding food. When it comes to food, of course, we all are very sure that food gives nutrition, but the problem is this nutrition is completely attributed to the factor food, but not to anything else. That is, you eat food and you get nutrition. You eat very good food, you get very good nutrition. This is the way in which the modern nutrition aspects or modern thinking is that food is directly related to nutrition. Say if someone has a deficiency, for example, if someone has a protein deficiency, they come to know about it. The first thing that will be done is, okay, what are all the things that are rich in protein? What are all the ways that one can get protein supplements like protein powder, taking whey protein, taking meat, telling that it is rich in protein, etc. This is the way in which when a deficiency is happening, it is viewed as something which is because of the deficiency of food, and they take the food that can balance the deficiency. But actually speaking, the food is not, it is not an insufficiency in food that causes deficiency in people. The logic is that the food is not assimilated well, that people have deficiencies. Nowadays the whole world is running with deficiency of protein, carbohydrate, D3, B12, it's a calcium deficiency, and people are continuously on supplements to substitute the deficiency. This is what is happening. If we see, if there are 4 people in the family all taking same kind of food, one person is having deficiency, and it is believed that this person's food is not enough, he takes nutritious food. When one person in the family is having a deficiency, the logic is that other 3 people are getting proper nutrition with the same food. One person is having improper nutrition. The answer is that this person is not assimilating it well. The other 3 are assimilating it well. So just with this example, we can understand that just the food is not enough in giving the nutritional aspects. There are much more factors into it. As you all must be knowing, we have acharyas of Ayurveda who were the proponents who gave various texts of Ayurveda to us. For example, Charaka Samhita, Sushruta Samhita. Charaka was an acharya of Ayurveda, Sushruta was an acharya of Ayurveda, of which Charaka is a very famous personality and a very famous word that many people know about. Charaka Samhita. Actually, though it is not a book written by Charaka, it was a book written by Agnivesha, which was later redacted by Acharya Charaka, but it is called as Charaka Samhita. In Charaka Samhita, there is an explanation about the factors that can influence the nutritional aspect of food. It is not just the food, there are much more factors into it. Just knowing those factors gives us a bigger picture of how various aspects of food can influence the nutritional aspects of it. So there are 8 factors basically, that is Prakriti, that is the nature of food, Karana, the processing of food, Samyoga, combinations of food, Rashi, quantity of food, Desha, the region, influence of region on food, Kala, the influence of time on food, Upayoga Samstha, the rules in dietetics, Upayokta, the person who consumes. So, Charaka has explained that there are 8 factors which can influence the nutrition that we get from the food, of which the first factor is the nature of the food. Every food substance has its own nature. We all know that this food is heavy to digest, this is hot in potency, this is cold in potency, this causes this. This is, for example, meat. If someone takes meat, it is heavy to digest. It's a very common fact. If you take vegetables, it is easy to digest. Fruits, it is easy to digest. So there is a nature attributed to each food substance. It is always the nature of the food which is understood or which is related for the nutritional aspects. But Charaka has explained that there are 7 more factors which can totally change the property that the same food can give us. For example, Karana, the processing. When we take a food, when it is processed in different ways, it can give different properties to us. Example, when we go into the reference of yogurt and buttermilk in Ayurveda, yogurt is a substance which we call, in India we call it as curd. You take yogurt, just churn the yogurt or triturate it rigorously. Vigorous trituration of yogurt, vigorous mixing of yogurt makes it into buttermilk. There is a provision of adding some water into it also. Actually speaking, there are various types of buttermilk depending upon the amount of water that we add into it. So, you take yogurt, this yogurt has a tendency to obstruct the tissue pores. The whole body is understood as a group of tissue pores. This yogurt obstructs the tissue pores. Yogurt has a tendency to cause water retention. In Ayurveda, it is called as shopa, water retention in the extremities. Whereas buttermilk is something which removes the water retention. Buttermilk is something which removes the blockage in the tissue pores. You take yogurt, it causes obstruction. You take buttermilk, it is a remedy for obstruction. What is the big difference between this yogurt and buttermilk? Nothing. One process called manthana, churning. So this churning can totally change the property of substance. Similarly, there are so much of examples where the property of the substance is changed according to the processing of the substance. For example, if you go into the texts, there is an explanation about the method of cooking rice. The rice that is soaked well, the rice which is washed well, the rice that is cooked and the remaining water, the little amount of water even after the cooking of the rice, when it is removed, the remnants of water are decanted after cooking. Cooking rice in this way is light to digest. Cooking the rice in an opposite way, that is not washing it well, not soaking it well, and then there is no removal of water after cooking, makes the food heavy for digestion. But if you see, the whole world is behind what is a good rice. Is red rice good? Is the basmati rice good? Is that rice good? It's always the rice. They forget the next step. The method of processing the rice can totally change the table. One specific point I would like to make here, the specificity of the Shastra, specificity of Ayurveda. Purana Shali, old rice. Our Shastra explains old rice is light to digest, whereas new rice is heavy to digest. From an Indian perspective, when our people go to the market to buy rice, just by the look of it, they'll be telling that, okay, this is new, this is old. New rice will be very cheap in the market, whereas old rice will be costly. But still we'll prefer to buy old rice. If we ask the reason why, none of us know the reason. Ayurveda, we have the reason for it. Purana Shali, old rice, which is at least 60 days old, is easy to digest. A newly harvested rice is heavy to digest. This is such a fascinating, this is just one small fascinating information. There are hundreds of this, not hundreds, maybe millions and billions of this. So this is making the rice old. It's a processing, it's a kind of a processing. Some people ask, where will I get this old rice? When we are outside India, they're concerned, well, where can we get this old rice? How to understand it is old rice? Don't try to understand whether it's new or not, because you are not used to it. Just buy the rice, stock it, make it old, use it after 6 months. Be pretty sure that it is old. It improves the digestibility of the substance. So here, just comparing point 1 and point 2, when the nature of the substance is something, when it is processed in a particular way, the inherent nature of the substance is changed. So processing has an influence over the nature of the substance. You get it? Similarly, when we come to samyoga, combination of substances, sometimes we take a substance A with some certain properties, set of properties called A, there will be another substance with a set of properties B. When you mix those two together, it gives you a property which is neither belonging to A nor belonging to B. For example, the reference given in the textbooks. Milk has no tendency to create skin disorder. Fish does not have any tendency to create skin disorder. But when you mix fish and milk together, either in cooking or in eating, at the time of eating, when you mix these both things together, you will be having a chance for skin disorder. When you mix milk and fish together, it is something called viruddha, which is incompatible. It is something like a thing that is having a tendency to have a poisonous influence, not poisonous influence, something kind of a improper influence on the body. So the natural property of milk, natural property of fish is totally disturbed when it is mixed together. Similarly, honey and ghee. We all know that ghee is an elixir. It is such a nectar that we could have. We all know that honey is something that is great. There is no doubt about it. Properties mentioned in the Shastra about these substances are ultimate explanation about these substances. When ghee and honey are mixed up together in equal quantity, see the precision and the intricacy of the science, Shastra, not a science. When ghee and milk are mixed together in the same proportion, it is going to have a poisonous effect on you. If you take ghee and honey, you take ghee separately, no issues. You take honey separately, no issues. When you take it together in different proportion, no issues. When you take together in same proportion, it is going to have a detrimental effect on your body. So, the nature of the substance is gone. The process in which you do it is different. You do a best honey possible in the world, best processing of ghee in the world. No matter how best it is processed, the improper combination takes your body on a ride. So a combination of substance can influence on the digestibility or the nutritional aspects of the food. Coming to the quantity of food. This food is very easy to digest very light to digest, so you can consume it. Okay, if it is easy to digest, if it is taken in a quantity which is more than the capacity, it is not going to be easy to be digested. You might take a very heavy food substance, but if you take it in a small quantity, it is going to be much more easier for digestion. When it comes to quantity of food, our Shastra explains one important factor. The first portion of the stomach which receives the food, that is stomach, you can understand it as a stomach which receives the food. We have to divide it into 4, of which the 2 quadrants should be exclusively for solid food, 1 quadrant for liquid food, 1 quadrant should be left free for the movement of doshas, movement of vata, pitta and kapha. So it is told in our Shastra that we should eat filling the 3 quadrants and leaving 1 quadrant empty. How to understand this 3 quadrants is full and 1 quadrant is empty? It is so simple. When you eat, we will get something called satisfaction. We get satiety of eating. That is a point where 3 quadrants are full. When we have satiety, when we still more eat, we can easily eat more than satiety. That explains that after satisfaction, there is still more place left. We can easily eat more, or we can easily drink water after getting satiety. People used to eat, have satisfaction and then drink water. You are going to fill up the whole of your stomach. Digestion is going to be impaired. When digestion is going to be impaired, this can be understood as overeating, which is attributed by the same Acharya Charaka as one of the primary causes for the production of ama, or not to be called as toxins, but you can understand it as the improperly digested substance which is causing harm to your body. So this is something that happens to us on a daily basis, that is, we eat and then drink water. When they tell 3/4 of the stomach, this 3/4 is including the water component. So drinking of water during food is something that is advocated in Ayurveda in many places. For example, there is a text called the Niti Shastra which explains, though it is not an Ayurveda text, it covers so many aspects. It explains a very interesting shloka. Bhojane chamritam vari bhojanante vishapradam. Bhojane, during the food, amrita, nectar. What is a nectar during food is vari, water. Water is a nectar during food. Bhojanante vishapradam. The end of the meal, it is like a visha, poison. If you can directly take the meaning of it, you will get deceived. But if you apply the same logic in this context, when you take water during food, you can achieve this 3/4 quadrant with liquid. If you drink water after food, you are going to fill up your stomach. It is going to produce ama as per the same Acharya, which is explained in a different and a lighter way in another text. In some other texts, like very common texts like Ashtanga Sangraha, Ashtanga Hridaya, etc., it is being mentioned that food, that is water that is being consumed before taking food, makes the body thinner. The water that is consumed during food maintains the body. Water that is consumed after food contributes for increase of weight. So it is not just in one area, but in many areas it is being mentioned that drinking water during food is not a good idea. From this logic, from the other explanation I told, from the other explanation of drinking water after food can contribute in gaining weight. At the same time, we cannot conclude that drinking water after food is so harmful. It can be used on a judicial basis. We used to give water to drink after food in some certain conditions where we believe that it will be good. So the speciality in Ayurveda is you cannot just conclude information that this is good, this is bad. There are factors that what is understood as bad can be used as good. What is understood as good can be used as bad. For example, there are poisons, different poisons. We call it as vishas and upavishas. Herbal poison, or for example, the plant that you see outside, Nerium indicum, where you have this beautiful flowers. It is a poisonous plant. The root of it is poisonous. It can induce even abortion. This plant is used as a medicine. You would have heard about so many poisonous substances like mercury, which is the worst poison that the world can imagine. This mercury is used as a medicine. But of course, after processing and all those things, what I am trying to convey is, even a poison is used in a judicial way. The so-called nectars that we believe, like ghee and honey, can give poisonous effect. See the vast difference. So, it is not just, again repeating, it is not just the food and the inherent nature of the food. There are multiple factors which can totally change the properties of the food. Coming to desha and kala. There is desha is the location, kala is the time. We all know that our forefathers were not having monotonous 365-day diet pattern. Their diet would have been dynamic, so dynamic to the extent of having different kinds of foods and different kinds of substances for different seasons. Coming from Russia, coming from UK, you will be seeing the natural food habit of that region will be totally different. You see, when it goes more colder and colder, the usage of spice is getting lesser and lesser. When the country is becoming more hotter and hotter, the usage of spice is getting stronger. In cold climates, naturally people try to take all this potatoes and all those things in olden days, which are supposed to be heavy to be digested. So our Shastra explains, in winter your Agni is excellent. People understand this as a contradiction. When the climate outside is cold, it should extinguish the digestive fire, is the logic that is being put forth. But our Shastra has a very clear explanation for it. When the exterior atmosphere is cold, the body will try to adjust itself to manage with the coldness of the exterior atmosphere, that is, try to warm the body up. In the process of warming the body up, which is inherent nature of the body, it goes and triggers the digestive fire of the body, so that the digestive fire of a person will be excellent in winter. When the digestive fire of the person is excellent in winter, he is supposed to take heavy foods. The nature gives you heavy foods only in winter. So there is an absolute synergy between nature and you. What is required for you will be available around you, or in other terms, what is available around you is the best suited for you, in terms of location and in terms of time. You go to summer, try to see potatoes in the market, it will be shrunken small potatoes which is sold for exorbitant price. Go in winter, every shop will have loads of potatoes, fresh, big in size, fleshy, and at an unbelievably cheap price. It is available at some unbelievable cheap price because abundance. Nowadays, as a child, even I remember, all of you could relate this. As a child, I remember that we will be waiting for summer to get those mangoes. Go to the Shastra, it explains in summer season, you have to take Sahakara Rasa, mango juice. People believe summer is very hot, mango is also very hot, how can you take it? So add milk to it, make a milkshake of mango and drink it. Horrible. It's a horrible thing that we can do. Our Shastra clearly explains, fruits which are having sour taste cannot be mixed with milk to be consumed. Example, mango, pomegranate, grapes. Mango is having two-dimensional contradiction, that it has sour taste, it cannot be mixed with milk. It is hot in potency, milk is cold in potency. You cannot mix two substances of opposite potencies. It goes incompatible. Our Shastra clearly explains, in summer season you have to take this. In summer season you get mango fruits. In any country we go, summer is a period where we get mango if it is grown naturally. You can use some chemicals, fertilizers, genetically modified mango trees, etc. That is different story. But nature will give you mango in summer season. As a child, I remember that we used to wait and crave for the summer to eat these mangoes. But my son can have mangoes 365 days because it is available in the market. Globalization. The effect of globalization on health is that you get everything anytime. 365 days. Our forefathers, or at least our parents, did not have this opportunity, and so they were much more healthier. In summer this is available, eat it. In winter this is available, eat it. So they were living in synergy with the nature. As I told you, nature will provide you what is required for you, or what is available around you is best suited for you. So that is a logic that can be applied for location and time which can have an influence on food. For example, talking about yogurt, our Shastra clearly explains yogurt also has good properties. It is not that it is a demonizable substance. It has good properties. In addition to that, it is heavy to digest. It has a tendency to obstruct tissue pores. It is okay for a person who has good digestibility, digestive capacity. A person having less of a digestive capacity, it is going to harm him or her. This yogurt, when you take it for lunch, no harm. When you take it other times, no harm. When you take it in the night, it is going to have a detrimental effect on you. Nanaktam dhadi bunjita. Never ever take yogurt in the night. Shastra clearly explains. So, time, when you take the same substance in the afternoon, it is not going to harm you. You take the same substance in the night, it is going to harm you. So, you see the nature of the substance, property of the substance, combination of the substance is ruled out. When it comes to different times you consume it, it is going to give different properties. In the lunch, it is going to give you a good property. In the dinner, it is going to harm you. But you can take buttermilk, that is not a problem. So, you see the intricacy of informations. Upayoga samstha, there are certain rules. For example, one person should eat when hungry. This is the very simplest rule in the Shastras. Eat when hungry, drink when thirsty. The most simple rule. When should I eat? When you are hungry, as simple as that. Ayurveda's focus is eat when hungry, but the modern world is going behind a path which makes them not to feel hungry, which makes them not hungry. Why are you taking something at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning? The answer will be, if I take something at 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock in the morning, I will not be having a strong hunger for lunch, so I will be eating less, is the logic that has been put forth. But when you are not having a strong hunger for lunch, even a small quantity of food is going to have a detrimental effect on you, whereas when you have a good hunger for lunch, even if you take a big quantity of lunch, it is going to be helpful. So, the modern world is focusing on an aspect how to make a person not feel hungry, whereas our Shastra, every attempt is to make a person hungry. If you are not hungry, reduce the quantity of food till you get hunger. So, Upayoga samstha, rules. You are taking the best substance in the world, processed in the best way possible under the sun, and you are taking it in the best combination, in the best season, best time. But when you are taken without your hunger, it is definitely not going to give you any positive effect. Instead, opposite. You will be suffering with indigestion, ama, etc. Similarly, there are various rules. For example, our Shastra, this process of eating is like a ritualistic procedure. For example, when we start our meal, we start with a prayer. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagno Brahmanahutam Brahmaivatena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina. It is Brahmarpanam. The Agni is Brahman. The food is Brahman. The process of digestion is Brahman. What is produced is Brahman. In total, the whole process is Brahman. The whole process is supreme. It is like a homa or a havan. We consider eating process as something like a homa or a havan, which is done in such a religious, ritualistic way. And nowadays it is becoming like a social event. That is, gather around, have fun, eat, you have no contact with the food. Our Shastra's focus is to establish contact with the food. How to establish contact with the food? The tradition is our forefathers did not study Ayurveda to explain this. How is the way it has been put forth is? It is God. What you are eating is God. Your sustenance is based on this food, and hence this is God. It is being made in such a way that it is a ritualistic procedure or a ritualistic activity, not just a social activity. So, eating in silence, our parents, forefathers will trim us down. Don't talk during eating. Don't read that. Don't watch TV. Don't have internet. Nowadays, we are eating in the middle of internet, television. It's not that we are eating and by the way we are watching is different. We are doing other things. In the middle of those activities, we are also eating. But our Shastra's explanation is totally opposite. When you are not in contact with the food, you will not understand a proper satiety. would have experienced when we are with friends and family, talking, enjoying a party, meal or something. We will be full up to this, not up to this, full up to this, and then still we will be searching, is there something else interesting, tasty, because I am not satisfied, because we did not have a contact with the food. So, we haven't reached the point of satiety. So, reaching the point of satiety is achievable by having a contact with the food, which is possible by not talking, not laughing, etc. So, similarly, there are so many things that we have to do while taking food. Then upayokta, say a person takes a best food, processes it in a best way, follows everything. The person who consumes it is going to be the person who is going to determine the property of the substance. I remember last year they were there, my mother prepared something small, something little, very little spicy. My son was so casually eating it, he was sweating. Same food. My son was enjoying it, he was sweating, his red face was red and pale, not pale, red, ears were red, he was sweating. It was extremely spicy for him. Something that is extremely spicy will provoke pitta. It increases pitta, which is an expression of redness in the face, sweating, etc. But my son, 3.5 years old, or me, we couldn't feel it because we are used to that, he is not used to that. When we are used to that, we are not suffering by the properties of the substance, but he is suffering, which explains that the substance has a pitta increasing property. This pitta increasing property is applicable only on him, not on me. The property is being overtaken by the person who consumes it. This we would have observed in so many cases. The person who consumes it totally changes the influence that it can create on the nutritional aspects of the food. Habitualization. For example, I have just returned, the amount of cheese that people eat, I cannot even believe that I could digest it. But amount of chili and spices that we eat, they cannot imagine that we can eat that much. If they eat the amount of spice that we eat, they will be bleeding in the toilet, definitely, for sure. But we don't do it because we are accustomed to it. Accustomization, the person's accustomability changes the whole influence of food. Just summing up with the last example, going to Chennai, if you go to Chennai, Chennai is like curd and Chennai are inseparable. They go to a buffet, finish their dinner, they come home, take a little curd rice. Without that curd rice, they cannot sleep in the night. Curd rice is something which they cannot take out of their life. Shastra explains curd in the night is detrimental. These people, this Brahmin community who take curd in the night, they are such intelligent sect of people, which is common observation. So, they are doing something that is horrible for such a long period and they do not have any problem with that. Yes, of course, they are accustomed to that. When you are accustomed to that, it will not harm you. For example, the tribes around, they are the natural, I have heard from these tribes that they have a habit of giving small amounts of snake venom to the kids, even when they are kids. So, by the age of 16 or 17, no matter what snake bites them, they will not have any problem. They are immune to the snake venom because the poison is slowly accustomed in their body, because they are living with snakes. They cannot prevent the snakes from biting them, but they can prevent the effect of snake bite on them. Accustomization. Snake venom is detrimental, it is going to kill you. It will not kill that person, but it will kill me because I am not accustomed to it. So, it is not just the property of food. All these 8 factors together decide the nutritional aspects of food. So, you cannot just rely on one factor. I am taking a good food. Why am I not healthy? You have missed other points. So, the nature of the food, the way it is processed, the way it is mixed together, how much quantity we are consuming, when we are consuming, which locality we are consuming, and what are all the rules that I have to follow while I consume food, and who is the person who consumes it. All put together, the consolidation is the nutritional aspect. So, I hope this makes sense how we see the food and its nutritional aspects. Yeah, it's more than half an hour. It went a little longer.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much. We'll finish with a very small prayer. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shri Gurubhyo Namah.